Welcome back to the Consciousness Express podcast, guys. I'm your host, Sam Berry, and in today's episode, we're going to be exploring the need of being understood by others and the need of understanding others. So, two areas I want to really dive into and look at with you guys to give you guys more clarity and some new perspectives and more ease with all of this, because it truly does create a lot of mess and confusion and misery and unnecessary suffering in our lives. So really want to open up some new possibilities for you guys to create and live from and walk through the world as you, and be an allowance of other people and what they're choosing, and not let it affect you so much. Because how much of your life do you spend trying to be understood by other people? Whether it's your friends, your intimate partner, your family, society, how much do you need them to understand you and where you're at and what your points of views are and how you function? And how much of your life do you spend trying to understand others and how they function and why they choose what they choose? And so let's dive into it. What tends to happen is, as a kid, somewhere along the line, we come in to this world and we're like, what the hell is this place? Why are these people acting this way? Why are people choosing this? This place seems silly. And we can't make sense of it. And it's like, what's going on? Get me out of here. And then we go, maybe if I understand why they are doing this, or that they are doing this, or if I just duplicate what they're doing, then it wouldn't be so bad. It wouldn't be so awful. It wouldn't annoy me so much, and it wouldn't affect me. And so we decide somewhere along the line that understanding is relevant, is necessary in order to be here on this planet. And the thing is, you can't be fully understood by somebody else. Like, you can't. It's not possible, because you are you. You are different. They are different. Every person is different in their own unique way. That's the brilliance of it all. Your difference isn't a wrongness. It's a gift. It's a strongness of you. But how many of us are not willing to step into our own step into our own difference? We're too busy trying to be understood by others and make ourselves sensical. We don't make sense. We're undefinable. We're infinite. Yet we try and make ourselves finite and to be made sense of. And then when we do that, we diminish so much of us to be able to be understood by other people, because they don't get us in totality. So, well, we can't be that then. We have to just be this little part so they can understand us, because that's what's valuable, them understanding us, not us being us. And, it's, if someone can't understand you, it's not wrong. You're not wrong for people not being able to understand you. How much do you go into the wrongness of you when people don't understand you? Oh, something must be wrong with me because nobody seems to get me. So I must be the problem. It must be my fault. It must be something to do with me. So then, okay, maybe all these parts of me then that people don't get, I shouldn't be, because they don't understand it and it's making me too different. And so what ends up happening is we have all these energies of us that we no longer choose to be. Because if we be those energies around people, whether it's a partner or friends or family or whatever, they don't they're not in allowance of it, they don't get it, they don't understand it, they can't have it in their reality, and we've made fitting in so valuable and so right that we eliminate us and we eliminate choice, and we have to fit in because it's like, I have to fit in, I have to belong. And so I have all these energies of me that no one gets, so I'm just going to turn them off. I'm going to cut them off me, I'm going to diminish them and never be those energies and just be the energies that they understand. And then we live this life so small and so stuck in this way that we're like, those us as the infinite being, us as our joy and everything wants to come out and be expressed. Our authenticity wants to come out, but it can't because we create relationships where we can't be authentic because we're fitting in. If you have to fit into someone else's reality, if you have to fit in with the people around you, you can't truly be your authentic self. And so you create relationships where you have to not be all of you. And over time it starts to destroy you because you feel like there's this deep sense of you, this deep core of you that wants to come out and be expressed to the world, but you're suppressing it. And then that just slowly inside creates all this confusion, it creates all this dis-ease, and we don't allow ourselves to just be us in totality. Ideally, what you want is to have people around you that sorry guys, I hope that doesn't sound loud on the microphone. Ideally, we want to have people around us that have total allowance of us with no judgment, just space, so that we can be all of us, we can be all of our brilliance, we can be all of our mess. We can fall apart in front of them. We can grow in front of them. We can be weird in front of them. We can be crazy in front of them. We can be the full spectrum of emotion in front of them. We can just be our authentic self, because that's a journey, and there's going to be times where we're shining and brilliant, and there's going to be times where we're just falling apart in a mess. And we want people around us that are like, I'm allowance of that. I'm here for you. I'm here with you. Let's go. Not the people who are like, actually, please don't be that, because I don't like that. And what you're being is so different. I don't understand it, and because I don't understand it, I can't have you in my reality. And then you go, oh, well, they don't understand it, so I must be wrong then, this part of me, so I just won't be it. So look at everywhere you're cutting parts of yourself off in order to be understood by other people, and then look at, is those relationships truly relationships I'd like to have? And if it's not, then ask for relationships that truly will nurture you and be an allowance of you to show up. Because you are undefinable. Stop trying to make yourself definable to other people, definable to this reality, because the way this reality is set up is for everything to be definable. And so we try and define ourselves in this reality so that we can be received by this reality and the people in this reality, which then, definition by definition alone, is a limitation. So then we just create a limitation on ourselves. So it's be the undefinable you. And if no one can understand it, it's not a wrongness. No one needs to get you. No one can get you in totality. We have to give that up. We have to go beyond that, because our job is to learn to understand ourselves. It's to go on that journey of, who am I? What do I like? How do I like to be loved? How do I like to love? What don't I enjoy? Blah, blah, blah. And we go on that journey, and then as we go on that self journey and learn ourselves more, we can then express that to the people around us, to our intimate partner. Hey, I really like this. I really don't like this. I really like to be loved this way. And we express that to them as we get to know ourselves. And then that sort of bypasses their need of understanding us, because they can just know. Like, oh, okay, cool. And then they go on, learn themselves how to be that. But it's not about understanding you anymore. It goes to that point where, okay, they just learn how to be that. but they don't need to go into your world to understand you, because what you're doing is going into your world to understand yourself, to then say, hey, this is who I'm choosing to be, this is what I'm choosing to like. And yeah, I had a thought and it disappeared. It's gone. It's gone. So yeah, we really need to start giving up that need of being understood by others. And how we do that is don't make it relevant. Don't make you and how you are and them not understanding it relevant. Because if you go and make it relevant, well, then you're gonna start to choose to try and make yourself be understood. You know, don't make it significant. Anything you make significant has control over you. So if we don't make it relevant, don't make it significant, then it can be light. Then we don't have that heaviness, and then we can just choose to be us and be an allowance of, because one of the things is like be an allowance of nobody understanding you, because then there's that space of freedom to just be you in all your glory. So you can show up and create the life you'd like to create, and then people will come along and go, yes, more of that, more of you, more of your weirdness, turn it up, let's go. They're the people you want to have around that are just encouraging you to be you and have total allowance of it. But you have to have allowance of people not getting you. And yeah, because I really want to dive into this, guys, because how often do you feel misunderstood by other people and then you feel lonely and sad? Nobody gets me. I don't belong here. I don't belong in my family. I don't belong in the world. And then we create this separation and rejection of ourselves and judgment, and we feel alone. It's like, we don't need to choose that. When we're willing to be the oneness we truly be and in communion with everyone and everything, we are connected at all times. There's actually no such thing as separation. Separation is an invention. It's not truly real. And so that sense of loneliness, it's like we create separation, which then creates loneliness. But if we just stayed in oneness, connected to everything, because then we would not need to feel alone. We would be connected. Oh, I'm actually connected to everyone and everything, so I'm never truly alone. I'm one with everything. But when we go into I'm wrong because I'm not understood, so therefore that's bad, and I'm separate from them because they don't understand me, then we start to feel alone. And then we're like, I don't belong. And, I like to talk about belonging, like, because when we want to belong, we're like, I want to be accepted by this group of people or this person. I want to be seen. I want to be heard. I want to be valued. And so much of that we don't be for ourselves. We don't see ourselves. We don't value ourselves. We don't hear ourselves, and we then look for it from other people. And then we don't feel like we belong, and belonging it can get sort of, I want to belong to somebody or a group of people, and then what we do is we change who we are, we cut parts of ourselves off because we make belonging to this person or this group of people so valuable, and then most of the time the group of people, the friends or the partner don't have true allowance, full allowance of who we are as our infinite self. They can only receive parts of us. And then so we make ourselves smaller and diminish us to belong to them. And now we belong to them, and now they have power over us because we belong to them. We're a belonging of them. We are not a belonging. We're an infinite being. So we have to look at everywhere we're turning ourselves into a belonging to be owned by someone else or some other group where they now have power over us because we don't have choice to be us. We have to choose to be this thing that fits in with their reality. We want to be us in totality. And if that means walking alone for a bit, so be it. You have to be willing to walk. You have to be willing to walk alone to create the life you truly know you can create. And when we truly have a phenomenal life and have great things, it's not understandable by others because things just show up. We have magic show up, and it doesn't make sense to other people how we create like that. In relationship, people get angry at the other person because you're like, you just don't get me, you don't understand me. And it creates a lot of fight, a lot of drama. It's like they don't need to get you. As an intimate partner, they will learn over time as spending time with you and getting to know you, and the more you know you, the more you can show them that. But you'll get that deep sense of, oh, they get me. They get a lot of me anyways. But they don't need to get you in totality because it's not possible. Again, because you're you. And what you want is someone that just has allowance of you. It's like, okay, I don't get this part of you, but I love it. So be it. And if there's those things where like you don't get me, you don't understand me, it's just creating a problem, then you have to look at, okay, is this working? What needs to change? And rather than just going into the fight of like, oh, you don't get me, you don't understand me, and you're trying to can get them to see your point of view. Because then if they align with your point of view, then you're right for your point of view. How much of your points of views are you trying to get other people to align and agree with so that you can be right for your point of view? And this, it's like we, so much. My mouth is not working properly. So many of us barely understand ourselves, and we're so focused on other people trying to get other people to understand us. It's crazy. Learn to understand you. Be your difference. And be an allowance of your difference. Again, I'm going to come back to allowance a bit in this podcast in this episode because allowance is a huge key element to you being you and having the ease in creating your life and not being at the effect of the world. And so you have to really be an allowance of you as all of you, even the dark parts of you and the parts of you that you've shamed and feel wrong. All of it you have to be an allowance of so that they can be welcomed and changed if they require change. And so when we can be an allowance of our difference and who we are as a person, then we don't need to make other people understanding us relevant. Like, if they don't get me, cool, whatever. I'm going to be me. If they can't have me in their reality, then that's fine by me. I'm not going to hide myself anymore. I'm not going to dim my light for these people anymore, because how much of your light are you dimming for the people around you? How much of you are you hiding from the people around you? You're not willing to be. You're not willing to show to the world. And then, if you want to learn you better, you have to express your authenticity. You have to express the parts of you that want to come out. And we can't hide anymore. We didn't come to this world to hide. We came to show our brilliance in whatever way that is. If the people around you can't have that, so be it. You have choice. You don't have to hang around with them. You don't have to have them in your life. You have got choice, remember? You are choosing everything. Everything you've created is from your choice. So remember, you do have choice. And yeah, surround yourself with the people that empower and uplift you to shine your light brighter, not make you dim it. If you feel like you're dimming your light around somebody and you can't be all of you, start to look into that and see what else is possible. Yeah. And, something we do is we try and make sense of ourselves so much to the point where we're like trying to make ourselves cognitive to the mind. And then we're trying to make us cognitive to fit into other people's minds. And the mind is a limitation. Like, the mind only knows what the mind knows. It can't know beyond itself. And when we try and make ourselves cognitive, we're making ourselves this infinite being cognitive. We have to diminish so much of us to be cognitive to fit into the mind. And then we have to go into the linearity of everything. And then when we're in the linearity where it's like A equals B and B equals C and I got to do this for this amount of time to get to that time, we are confined to this reality. We're confined to time. We're confined to the rules and regulations of this reality and how to create and what you can have and what you can't have, but you can't go beyond any of that. And then everything is, we are not linear, but we try and create ourselves as linear to fit into this linear reality that everyone else is functioning from. And then we try and make ourselves cognitive to other people so that they can have us in their minds. Which just, there's no magic and logic. We just eliminate the magic of us and the magic of the universe when we start to go cognitive and linear. And then we just end up in circles in our minds, like, okay, if this, then that. And then, yeah, we get stuck in, as soon as you go into the mind, you're out of being. You're no longer present. And so how much of your life are you spending in your mind rather than being and creating and receiving, perceiving and knowing? How much are you trying to get your point of view understood by other people? How much are you trying to be validated by other people? So, yeah, really look at everywhere you're making it so significant and relevant to be understood by other people, as if that's what's valuable. You are the valuable product. Be you in totality, and that's what's going to invite in the greater possibilities into your life. That's what's going to invite in those people that will really expand and nurture your life and body. And yeah, are you willing to be that different? Are you willing to stand out? How much, we could like dive into this with your family. How, some of you, maybe your family don't get you and they've never gotten you. You're so different. And every time you go hang out with your family, you go, they don't fucking get me. They don't understand me. I hate being around them because they don't understand me. Will you just listen to me? Will you just get me, please? And it creates this fight our whole lives of being around our family. And it's like, ugh, I hate being around my family because they never fucking understand me. And then, whereas if we were just willing to be our difference, and if they didn't get it, cool, that's totally fine. That is totally fine. Give up the fight. If it's really got to that point where you're like, I just can't be me with my family and I hate it and I don't want to be there, don't go see them. It's a choice. What ease can you have with your family that you haven't been willing to have? What else is possible with being you around your family that you haven't yet considered? And what allowance can you have of them not understanding you that you haven't been willing to have? And what allowance of you can you have that you haven't been willing to have? That you're different. You don't need to be received. Receive yourself. As long as you can receive, if you learn to receive yourself, then you won't need to be received by other people. But when you can't receive you and you need to be received by other people to get that validation of receival, you give your power away to that person. When you, when you try to understand something or someone else, you get involved and embroiled in it, in their reality. And then you're looking to align and agree or resist and react, and you go into the polarity, and as soon as you go into the polarity, you disappear. You can, as soon as you go into all of that, needing to understand somebody else, or something else, you're in it. You're in their reality, you're in that thing, and then you no longer can stand outside of it. And because you can no longer stand outside of it, you can no longer receive in totality awarenesses and what could be a possibility, what you could choose, what could be available there. You're embroiled in it. And what we do is when we need to understand somebody else is we duplicate everything. So not just what we're trying to understand about them, the insanity, the pain, the misery as well. We duplicate it all. And a great example of this is, so many of us will not want to be like our parents. You go, I don't want to be like my dad, I don't want to be like my dad. And then what we do is we then try and understand them. We're like, all right, I just have to understand them so that then I know how to not be them. But then what ends up happening is you become them because you're duplicating them, you're duplicating their pains, pathways, and realities, and then becoming them. So how many people do you know? How many even you might be like, oh, I said I didn't want to be like my dad, and now I'm like my dad. Or I said I didn't want to be like my mom, and now I'm being my mom. You have those moments like, oh my god, I'm being my dad right now. Oh my god, I'm being my mom right now. What the hell? This is what I didn't want to be. Because what you've done is you've gone into understanding them and duplicating their reality, duplicating their pains, duplicating their pathways. And so if we just chose to be us and create from who we would like to be rather than trying not to be someone else, like our family, then we wouldn't need to duplicate who they were and to avoid not being them. And what we also do is when we're trying to understand other people is we then justify their choices and why they're choosing what they're choosing rather than just recognizing they're choosing what they're choosing because they choose it. People choose what they choose because they choose it. You have to get this. When you can get this can create so much freedom for you in your life and freedom from not being at the effect of what other people choose. Because people just choose what they choose because they choose it. There's not this grand reason of why they're choosing it. Stop trying to make everything have reason. And it's like, how many of your choices in your life have you just chosen because you chose it? You weren't like, oh, this is a grand reason because I chose it. I just fucking chose it. The same with other people. People just choose. A lot of people choose from unconsciousness. A lot of people just choose bad things. A lot of people just choose without a meaning to it, without a reason. It's just what they choose. And then we want to make meaning of it. And then what that does is keeps us stuck in the why of why they're choosing what they're choosing. We're trying to figure out the why. A brilliant example is breakups. You know, you get broken up with, they choose this thing, they choose to leave you, they choose to cheat, they choose to be mean, they choose to sabotage the relationship, they choose to whatever it is that breaks up the relationship, and then you get stuck on figuring out why they chose what they chose. Like, why would they do this to me? Why would they choose that? How could they do this to me? It doesn't make sense. And then we're trying to figure out and understand why they chose what they chose so that we can fit it in with our story in our head and our judgments and our conclusions and our definitions and make sense of it so that we can be okay with it, because we're truly not okay with it. And there has to be a reason why they chose it. It has to make sense, because if it doesn't make sense, then I can't continue on. I can't continue living my life until it makes sense. And then we become stuck. And what keeps people so attached to their ex is because they're still trying to figure out why they chose what they chose. And then when you're trying to figure out why they chose what they chose, you're in their reality, trying to figure it out. And when you're in your reality, you're pulling in energies from their reality into your reality, and it keeps the connection there because you're in their reality. And then when you're in there for so long, all the time it's not a great place, and you feel lost, and you're in their reality, suffering, pulling in things, life's getting different, and you're not creating the way you could be creating because you're creating from their reality, and you're stuck there and you're trying to figure out why, and you don't get to go and create your life. You don't move on. Some people take months or years. They're still trying to figure out why they chose what they chose because it's so relevant. Give up the relevance. I always say if the why is relevant, it will show up as an awareness when it's time to show up. But don't make it relevant. Just continue to create your life. What would you like to create as your life? Choose it, create it, move on. And then if the why is relevant, it will show up to contribute to you in the creation of your life. But don't get stuck waiting on the why and trying to figure it out, because you will stay stuck and you will stay attached to the person or the scenario or the situation and not be able to move on. And then you're not free. You're imprisoned to that need of knowing why. And you're at the effect of them still and what they choose and what they chose. And so it just creates a huge mess for us. So give up that need to know why. The why will just keep you in the never-ending story. So how much of your story do you have that you're trying to get validated by the understanding of why they chose what they chose? People choose what they choose because they choose that. You have to get that. Then we can stand outside of it and look and ask questions. What is this? What can I do with it? Can I change it? If so, how can I change it? Those 4 questions, use those to create your life. Give up expectations of people. If it was, we go back to like a partnership example, and you have expectations that they should be doing this, or the plan was this, so the expectation was that they chose for the plan, and then they didn't. And then you're like, why didn't they choose that? This is what was agreed on. This is what the plan was. And now they're choosing this. And so, rather than being an allowance of their choice, I'm going to go into trying to figure out why they chose what they chose because they didn't meet my expectations. And then how much ease is that really creating for you? How much possibility is that creating for your relationship? If they choose something and it doesn't work, have a conversation. Hey, you chose this, it didn't work. It's not working for me. What else can we choose? What else can we create? And then if it is like with a breakup, if you're someone that has gone through a breakup or has gone through a breakup and you don't get why they chose what they chose because you guys had all these plans together and it was supposed to be looking like this, we have to be an allowance, again, of our plans looking different, of them choosing what they choose and not taking it personal. And letting ourselves grieve. We'll have an easier time grieving and going through the grieving process if we give up the need to know why they chose what they chose. You'll move through it with so much more ease. Yeah, it's going to be painful. You move through it with so much more grace and ease and faster than if you're just still like trying to figure out why. So allowance again is a big, thing of this need of being understood and needing to understand other people. Be an allowance of you and your brilliance and your difference. Be an allowance of what other people choose, so you're not at the effect of what they choose. Because if you're not an allowance of what they choose, you will be at the effect of what they choose. And you choose that for what reason? Do you really want to be at the effect of what other people choose? Because then how much does that just ruin your day or ruin your week? Stop trying to fit everything in with what you've decided is right or wrong. If you get that everything is a choice people make, then trying to understand them is no longer relevant. It's just a choice. Everything is just a choice. So, yeah. Thanks for coming along on that journey, guys. And what else is possible for you being you and walking through the world? Don't make it significant. Don't make it relevant. Just choose to be the brilliance of you. If no one gets you, that's totally fine. If someone chooses something, be an allowance of it. Just trying to figure out and understand why. Because you will just stay in this merry-go-round of why, and then you won't go create your life. You won't go have a phenomenal life. You won't get to enjoy life. Life is happening now. Live it. So yeah. I do want to share that if you do love these episodes, these conversations, and you want to dive into more topics of consciousness and self-development and relationships and bettering your life and learning more of what's available to us in this lifetime, I warmly invite you to come along on my monthly membership adventure, The Wilds of Consciousness, which is a monthly membership group, which is one Zoom call a month. You get access to all the recordings and a whole bunch of other classes. And yeah, if you do truly want to start diving deeper into your self-growth journey, and come along. I'll drop the link in the show notes, so it's in there. And again, if you enjoy this episode, please give a rating and subscribe and a like and share with some other people that may find this useful. And grateful for you guys, and I will see you on the next episode.